Hey everyone. So I have an interesting lock here today. So this is a Yale lock. I'm not 100% sure of the model. I think it's sold online, marked as a Yale B-ED, and then a bunch of numbers that are, I think, representative of the format. So this comes as a double euro. You can see I cut it in half so that we could more easily get it taken apart. And this lock was unranked in the LPU belt system, but people were kind of looking around at things because Yale used to have a pretty common lock that was ranked blue. It was the Yale 500. They reformatted that lock and they changed some of the security features. Now it's called a Yale 500 Plus, but it actually is easier to pick in its new formatting. So we were looking to see if there was maybe another lock that could fill the gap that the old Yale 500 used to fill. So this one came up, and like I said, it's unranked currently, but it feels relatively decent, kind of mid-range in difficulty for picking. So I'm guessing it'll probably get ranked somewhere around blue. But again, the security features on this lock that made it somewhat tricky to pick. You can see we've got 6 spools here. Looks like they're out of focus on my camera. Let me just see if I can fix that real quick. So six pins here, spools, and if I get real close here, you can probably see the bottom of those spools does have a little bit of milling around it, and that's going to interact when you pick the lock with the plug here, which you're going to see some machining in that. This is referred to as overmilling, so the top of this hole is a little bit wider than the bottom of it. That's where the ring comes into place here. That's where the milling ends. So when you lift these spools, rather than being able to lift them directly up to the shear line, as soon as you get them up over this overmilling, they kind of pop up there and then they stick. Feels like they might have been set. The key pin falls down, but your spool is not at the shear line completely yet, and so you have to do another tap to get that completely lifted up. Now, the other thing that happens because there's spools here is sometimes you get a pin lifted and you have to do counter rotation to get the spooled end completely up. And then when you do that, some of the other pins that you've already set are going to drop because again this hole is pretty wide here, and they will drop down and go back into this overmilling. So you have to pick some of the pins multiple times to get them appropriately lifted to get the lock opened. So it took me a little while to get a handle on the feedback for this. Not incredibly difficult, obviously no secondary security features, but in terms of it being a simple 6-pin tumbler lock, it was decently hard to figure out the first time. So we'll skip over to the next section where I pick and gut this. I hadn't gutted it for prior to that video, so my gutting there is the first time the lock gets opened up. I don't think my audio was working, so I may dub some voice lines over it, but you won't be hearing everything that was happening in that section. So we'll move over into the pick and gut next. hopefully you could hear all the multiple clicks in that. So you can see that's open. And let's get this gutted real quick. You can see the overmilling there. Whoa. Close up of the pins here. So you can see the spools with the slight tapering on them. All right, there you go. Yale B-ED.